you guys are doing great this morning. I sent you guys an email this morning, or I posted an announcement on Moodle this morning to confirm the details about the upcoming test. So test 1. So now you got the time, the venues, and all those details. So you should be fine now. Even the scope. So chapter 8 and chapter 9 that we are going to open up today. So yeah, you got all the information that you need for for the upcoming test. I believe that this week we're going to conclude with chapter 9. And next week we'll have a kind of a revision just to revise what we have seen and all that. So I hope you guys can hear me. If you cannot hear me, please feel free to let me know. So I'm going to share my screen now. And yeah, anytime you feel the need to contribute to this session, please feel free to interject, or feel free to unmute yourself, and then you can say whatever you are willing to say. All right, so today we're going to kickstart with chapter 9 from your textbook. So chapter 9 talks about all layout strategies. So most of the chapters in the recommended textbook are interlinked, so they are related. So that means some of the concepts that we are going to discuss in this chapter are linked to previous chapters that we have already discussed in the first semester, right? Or even in chapter 8. So yeah, don't be surprised that we're still making a reference to probably chapter 2, chapter 1, all the previous chapters that we have already discussed. So now, today we're going to talk about layout strategies. So layout strategies basically talking about the setting of a work environment, right? Could be an environment where employees come together in order to work to complete their daily activities. Or it could be also a work environment where employees are interacting with customers, right? So how is that setting? How is that layout design? How is it set? Right. So the other thing that you also need to understand that the layout strategy has what you call some implications, right? In a company achieving a competitive advantage, right? A company being the leader in its market because it has a good layout. So a layout that facilitates its daily operations. So a layout strategy is important, right? It's important because the company gets some kind of edge in terms of competing with other companies within its industry. Very, very important. So these are the outline, this is the outline of the chapter. So we're going to talk about the strategic importance of layout decisions. And we're gonna also talk about the types the types of layout, right? So we're gonna talk about office layout, retail layout, warehousing, and storage layout, fixed position layout, process-oriented layout, work cells, and we're going to conclude with a repetitive and product-oriented layout. So some of this layout, you guys are encountering them on a daily basis, if I can put it that way. You encounter them on a daily basis. So this chapter is also going to allow you to create the kind of differences, lying amongst the layout designs, right? So the strategic importance of layout decisions. An effective layout can help an organization achieve a strategy that supports differentiation, low cost, and response. So these three strategies here or concept, we discussed them during the course of the first semester. Differentiation, supplying products or goods or providing services are different from the competitors' product or services, right? Or bringing some kind of improvement or inputting features, right, in your product that could set your product different or set your product apart from the competitor's product. So low cost, providing customers with affordable product without compromising the quality or response. So response is now how the company is able to respond to the fluctuations in the demand, right? Demand in from the customer's perspective, if there are things that need to be changed on the product, so the company should be able to respond to those changes. So we have already seen this under chapter 2. So if you want more details, you can quickly refer to that chapter. So that's what I was even saying, that sorry, some of the concepts here, we have already discussed them. Um, and since the chapters are interrelated, so they will be popping up times to time. All right, so once a layout is clearly designed or is well designed, that gives the company an opportunity to achieve a competitive advantage, right? So meaning that the company would be able to provide products that are different, affordable, and respond to the change in the market or in the demand fluctuations. It says that the objective of a layout strategy is to develop a cost-effective layout that will meet a firm competitive need, right? So at the end of the day, it's not just designing or coming up with a proper layout for your business, but is also ensuring that you keep your cost at a lower minimum in order for you to make money. Because you go and design a beautiful layout setting for your business, and at the end of the day, it can cost a lot of money to do so, and it might be difficult to get some kind of return on investment, and that could be a problem. All right. So, like what we did in chapter 8, always try to ensure that you keep your cost at a low level in order to maximum on your total revenue. Guys, please mute yourself. Switch off your mic if you know that you're not talking.
Let's not forget that Colosa were actually is more powerful even than Utopasi because he's the CM in the country. Without Colosa, Utopasi wouldn't be.
I'm looking for an option where I can even kick this guy out. Uh, yeah, I think it's better if you make noise like that. I just kick you out once. Yeah, please make sure that you switch off your mic. Um, unless you want to say something, so you are allowed to interact. You can just unmute yourself and straight away you say whatever you want to say. All right. So that is the main objective. Right. So by doing so, the company is now is able to project itself in a manner whereby it can win customers in the market and achieve a competitive advantage. Right. So that is very critical, and it also shows the importance of a layout strategy or a layout decision that can give an edge to a company's operations. Um, so some of the considerations that we have to bear in mind when talking about designing a layout. So a layout um, should provide an environment which contains the following: higher utilization of space, equipment, and people. So it's not only just designing the layout or coming up with a proper setting for your work environment, but it must also provide the company with the option of using the entire workspace, right? And also space to put your equipment in a manner whereby employees can use the equipment effectively and efficiently, right? So that need to be thought and improve flow of information, materials, or people. So the work that needs to be done in that work environment need to be assured. So the flow of information, communication between the employees or amongst the employees, the flow of materials within the working environment need to be assured. And that's what also determine an effective and efficient layout. Improve employees morale and safer working conditions. So a place that is safe for employees to work around, or employee also to probably carry stuff within the working environment. So this need to be done in the safe manner so that employees can enjoy their workplace, right? So it could be providing them with the equipment, the computers, all those materials that they can use in order to be able to complete their daily duties or activities. Improve customer client interaction. So depending on the design or the industry, right? If the design of the layout or the working environment need employees to interact with customers, this need to be designed according to that. All right. So, for instance, at the bank, when you go to the bank, the layout at the bank is different compared to a layout in the warehouse, for instance, right? So, there at the bank, the setting is that customers will come and then interact with the tellers or the salespeople. So this need to be done in a way that there is a clear purpose of interacting with customers, right? So if you are talking about the office layout is different, no? Could be different in some settings. So you need to be mindful of that. So flexibility. Flexibility could be explained from different angles, right? But from an operations management perspective here, when we're talking about flexibility, is the the manner in which a work environment could be changed based on probably the company acquiring a new machine, right? Or also based on the fluctuation, the demand, right? Is the company able to adapt to the fluctuation in the demand, right? So in terms of meeting the daily production or the weekly production, something like that. So that's what I'm saying, that you can explain this from different angles. But that is the main thought around flexibility. So now let's look at specifically at the 7 types of layout. Guys, again, feel free to interact if you have questions, um, or probably you want to comment or something. Please feel free to interject, and then we can discuss. So there are 7 major types of layout. We have already mentioned all of them from the outline of the chapter. The first one that you are going to dive into is the office layout. So again, remember I told you that these are some of the concepts that you guys already know. You can see in this picture here, this picture displays a work environment, right? Which shows the employees. Each employee has its workstation, right? Including the computer, the telephones, and all that. So you can see in this environment here, employees are able to interact with one another, right? And if one needs help, they can easily ask the other person, and a kind of interaction going on here. So this speaks to the grouping of equipment, right? The employees, and how they can share ideas within this environment. So again, office layout, it does not necessarily must be following this design here. Some other offices follow other designs. Like for instance, in the bank, when you are going to the bank, the setting might be different here, right? But the whole idea is to interact with to provide an environment whereby employees are able to share idea, flow of information, ask questions, help each other, and usually also interact with customers. That's why it says that grouping of workers, their equipment, and space to provide comfort, safety, and movement of information. All right. So the supermarket retail layout, again, this one we are familiar with it, right? It's an approach that addresses flow, allocates shelf space, and responds to customer behavior. The objective is to maximize profitability per square foot of floor space. Sales and profitability vary directly with customer exposure. So this speaks directly to, for instance, um, Pick and Pay, Spa, ShopRite stores, right? These are some of the supermarket that we are familiar with. So what they do is that they make use of the shelves, right, to expose their product. So the product within the stores are exposed through the shelves, and the better they expose all their product, the more chances that they also provide in terms of customer purchasing those exposed items. All right. So if products are not well exposed in a store, you as a customer, it's it will be difficult for you to find that specific unless if that product is in your shopping list, so that you can probably ask questions and then they can probably retrieve that for you, right? That's why the use of shelves in a supermarket is strategic, and the placement of product or items within a store is quite strategic. Let's look at this layout here. This is a layout of a supermarket, right? And what they usually do here is that they check the items that people buy on a daily basis, right? Such as bread, milk, and all those, right? They put those items usually at the back of the store, at the back, so that you, when you enter the store, you will have to pass through other products, right, before you reach the one that is in your shopping list. And in that process where you are walking around to get to your specific product, you are also exposed, right? Or other products are exposed to you. And sometimes some of the product are even talking to you, even if they were not in your shopping list, and you have extra money and you can afford, you'll pick them and then you'll end up buying those products. So this is strategic, just to increase the probability of the items being bought by customers. So the other thing that you can also notice when you enter a supermarket, you will see that by the tills, there are this kind of how do you call them? Higher picking items like sweets, chocolate, and all that. So these are also the items that are strategically placed by the tills or check stands, so that you, while you are waiting and you have extra money, you can buy some chocolate. You can easily buy it because they don't cost a lot. If you check nicely, those items are not usually expensive, so meaning that you could afford to pick one or two. So this again is strategic, right? To play with the psychology of the customer. So this is some of the pictures that are just uh, inserted into this presentation here, just to illustrate the point. You can see on the first one here, this is there's a store here, how clean it looks. So you have the shelves, and you can see all the shelves are fully packed, right? They are fully used. And when we are going to talk about the warehousing layout, that's why we're going to talk about the cost related to the use of the space, right? So all the product are here. The customer can clearly see whatever they are looking for, or they are exposed to other product that they were not expecting to buy and they ended up buying them. And in the second picture here, you have also this kind of shelves, right, in a bent state, so whereby the products are also well exposed to customers. So this provide an edge, right, to this business in terms of conquering the mind of the customers, or giving them more idea in terms of buying the items that are exposed. All right. So we are familiar with that. Talking about the warehousing and storage layout. So this also a picture that illustrates a warehousing and storage layout. So they both go together or hand in hand. It's a design that attempts to minimize the total cost by addressing trade-off between space and material handling. The objective is to optimize trade-off between handling cost and costs associated with warehouse space. So in the warehouse space or in the warehouse layout, you can see these shelves here are designed, objectively or specifically based on certain requirement. Even the use of the color of these shelves, but when you are within the warehouse, you don't call them shelves, you call them racks, right? So they are designed in a way that follows certain principles, right? And here, a company need to be certified in order to be able to handle something like this. And you can see the colors are different. You don't just use any colors. And usually, these racks are built by a certified company, right? Look how clean it is, different colors, specific colors, right? So now what you need to pay attention here, or what you need to understand here, is that there are two types of cost, right? There are two types of cost. So you have what you call the handling cost and the cost related to the use of the space. So let's assume that we are running a business, right? And in this business, we are renting this space here, this warehouse. So this means that at the end of the month, we have to pay rent to the landlord or the owner of this facility. So whether we use this space fully or not, we're still going to pay the amount that we agreed per month. So that's why we are this slide talks about the cost related to the usage, the use of the space, right? So whether you use it or not, you're still going to pay for that. So the best thing to do is to maximize on your capacity. So ensure that the space is fully used so that when you are going to pay, you know that you are really paying what you are using. So that is one of the costs. So the other cost is now what you call the handling cost. So handling costs, as it's saying, related to the placement of items on the shelves. There could be damages, spoilage, especially if machines are used. Right? In the same process, some boxes could be damaged in the process. So these are what we refer to as handling cost. So, what you need to understand here is that when we are talking about the warehousing or storage layout, there are two costs associated with handling cost or handling cost and costs related to the use of the space, right? So that is important. And I believe you're gonna have a question around this layout and storage, warehousing and storage layout. So just be mindful of that. You're gonna have a question on that. All right. So if that is fine, let's move on to the next slide. So this is what I was explaining, the two types of costs. You can read this just to get more insight around the warehousing and layout storage. So if you look at this picture here on your right hand side, this picture is related what you call fixed position layout. So here in this case, um, doctors, this is a theater, right? Whereby a patient is undergoing an operation, right? Being operated. So it's a theater. So in this theater, you have doctors, surgeons, coming here to this specific room in order to perform an operation on this patient. So we don't know what this patient is really being operated on, so we don't know. So it says that product remains in one place. So when they are saying product here, we are referring to this patient being operated here. All right. So the patient here is referred to as a product. So the patient will remain in this room here. If there is need for a doctor or a special doctor to come and see what is going on, that doctor must come to this specific area. If the operation continues, all the workers, all the doctors, they must come to this specific room in order to get the operation going. So it says workers and equipment come to site. So this means, like in this picture, doctors will come to this room and get the activity done in this room. right? So they say complicating factors, limited space at site. So obviously this is a limited area whereby the job is being performed, right? They say different materials required at different stages of a project. So in the process of treating this patient, let's assume that this patient is undergoing a surgery, for instance. We don't know which part of the body is that is. So let's say at the beginning they needed to clean, right, the spot that needed to be, to be used in order to perform this operation. So at that stage when they started, there are different tools, right, that they needed at that stage, or different materials that they need at that stage, right? Now, during the process that now they are performing perhaps the surgery, they also need different tools, right? At that stage now where the operation is being, performed. When they are done, they will need different also tools at that point in order to finalize the operation. So that's why in this case here it's saying that the volume of materials needed is dynamic, because at different stage the operation requires different materials, right? So it becomes dynamic, and these materials, all of them there, must come to this room in order to be utilized in the operation. So what other examples that we can bring on board in order to illustrate this fixed position layout could be the building site of a ship, for instance. So a ship building site, right? So all the materials that the workers need, they must go to the site, and so that the ship can be built, right? This also applies to in the process of building a house, for instance. At the beginning, workers will need materials that they are going to use perhaps for forming or for building the foundation, right? Foundation of the house. Once they are done with the foundation, they will now go to, raising the walls and all that. And at that level of raising the wall, they will need also different materials or tools at that level. Once they are done, they go to the roof. They will also need different materials in order to, cover the roof or build the roof and all that. So again, this shows that the volume of materials needed is dynamic. So the other examples that you can also bring on board in order to illustrate this point as construction of a road, for instance, right? All the materials, workers will go to the site in order to get that project done, right? So these are some of the examples that we can advance in case if you are requested to provide some. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop right here for today. And next time where we're going to meet, we will kickstart from process-oriented layout. So in the meantime, please go and try to read about process-oriented layout so that our session on Thursday will be a little bit engaging. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them now before we end this session. All right, so it seems like we don't have questions. Um, all right, guys, that shows that you don't have questions, so I'm gonna stop sharing, and yeah, and then I will see you on Thursday. I'm out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir.